Hello, I'm Terry Martin. Thanks for being with us. Israel has confirmed it's hit Iran's Fordo nuclear site a day after the U.S. bombed the plant. Meanwhile, the head of the UN nuclear watchdog, Rafael Grossi, said the U.S. bombing has probably caused very significant damage. Grossi made his comments at an emergency meeting of the International Atomic Energy Association, but he said no one can tell yet to what extent Fordo, which is dug into a mountain, has been damaged. Grossi is demanding his nuclear inspectors get immediate access to Iran's nuclear sites. Well, William Alberque is a nuclear arms expert with the Pacific Forum. He's also a former director of NATO's Arms Control Center. Thanks for being with us. First of all, Israel says, as we just heard, Iran says that Israel has now hit the Fordo nuclear facility just after the U.S. struck it. What does that tell us?
Well, we know that the U.S. did significant damage. The satellite imagery that we've seen is truly extraordinary, but we can't know if they've completely destroyed the facility. So in a way, Israeli strikes make sense to follow up and to keep hitting the already hit targets to see if there's anything else in the sprawling complex that has not yet been destroyed. So I understand it. At the same time, coming so soon after Rafael Grossi's call for inspections, they can't do it while they're under attack. So it's a little bit disappointing. I would like them to wrap that up so that we can get into negotiations so we can get inspectors on site.
How accurate a picture, given the circumstances you just described, are the IAEA inspectors able to get at all? I mean, how would they even go about finding out what's happened there?
Well, so Iran is under obligations because of the agreement that they have with the IAEA, their Comprehensive Safeguards Agreement, to say what they're doing with their enriched material. Now, apparently, according to Grossi's statement to the Board of Governors today, they informed him that they had moved some of the highly enriched uranium from the Fordo facility and from Esfahan. And his natural question back to them is, where did you move that? So it's interesting that they told him that they've done that, but they haven't said where. So if they know where they've gone, then they can, in theory, if the shooting stops, get in there and inspect, count, make sure it's consistent with what they know was there previously, and to see, if there's any difference in terms of what's been manufactured since the last inspections, which occurred at the end of May.
Let's have a listen to what the head of the agency, Rafael Grossi, had to say. It's just a short while ago, he spoke in response to the weekend strikes by the U.S.
Craters are now visible at the Fordo site, Iran's main location for enriching uranium at 60%, indicating the use of ground-penetrating munitions. We continue to monitor the situation and encourage the Iranian regulator to maintain its contact with the IAEA's Incident and Emergency Center.
Well, picking up on that last point, Iran's representative to the IAEA has slammed the agency, saying that it's not functioning effectively anymore. What do you make of that?
I think that's an incredibly unfair thing for them to say. The IAEA has been incredibly supportive, neutral. They've worked in this conflict to verify what Iran has told them as best as they can. Iran has consistently violated its obligations under the IAEA. We know this. They have not resolved all the questions that have been open since 2015 and before with the IAEA. They were caught building this very facility, the Fordo facility, back in 2005 without declaring it, which they're supposed to do. So to say that the IAEA is not functioning, if the IAEA is not functioning to its full potential in Iran, that's because of Iran, not because of the IAEA. I think Rafael Grossi has done a wonderful job here, and calling for negotiations to get transparency back on the Iranian program, get eyes back on it, and have Iran stop trying to evade their responsibilities would be a great thing.
We have to remind ourselves, of what's going on here regarding Iran's nuclear ambitions. There's fear that Iran is developing a nuclear bomb, and Iran has invested very heavily in its weapons systems. Iran is now threatening to retaliate using whatever resources it has. Tell us more about what those resources are at Iran's disposal if it decides to escalate.
So if he decides to escalate right now, the fact is they don't have a viable nuclear device. As far as we know, as far as all the evidence shows, they do not have a viable nuclear device now. But they do have an extensive arsenal of missiles. Now, Israel has been trying to degrade that missile capability as much as they can, but there are missiles like anti-ship cruise missiles that Israel has large stocks of. They still have friends in the Houthis who they've given lots of missiles to. So they could still unleash a lot of attacks on U.S. forces in the region. They could attack shipping. And they could cause terror elsewhere in the world. I mean, Iran has sponsored terror worldwide before, and while their proxies have been seriously damaged by Israel and the United States over the decades, they still have some asymmetric escalation options.
What do you see coming from Iran's allies, with the supreme leader of Iran calling for Russian support, for example?
It's remarkable. Russia has really shown their colors here. Russia has relied upon Iran so much for the drone production and actually constructing Iranian factories in Russia to help support its illegal war on Ukraine. And then when Iran needs support, they have a meeting with the foreign minister earlier today, and they just get some platitudes from the Russians. It is remarkable. Iran is really seen by Russia as a transactional relationship, not as a relationship of principle.
William, thank you very much. William Alberque from the Pacific Forum.
Thank you.